Rashidalek. I hope you are doing well, and I would like to welcome you again for this Dharma teaching. We're going to continue to understand these beautiful instructions by the Lord GAMPOPA from his book, The Jewel Ornament Liberation. Okay, so before we do so, we should recite ravish prayers and generations of bodhicitta. Sangye jodan zoge jonam la jangjo bardo dane gyab songje dage jinso gebe sonam ge rola benjere sangye drobara sho sangye jodan zoge jonam la jangjo bardo dane gyab songje dage jinso gebe sonam ge rola benjere sangye drobara sho sangye jodan zoge jonam la jangjo bardo dane gyab songje dage jinso gebe sonam ge rola benjere sangye drobara sho semje tamje dewa dan dewe gyo dan dembara gyo je donga dan donga ge gyo dan dewa gyo je donga mebe dewa damba dan me dewa gyo je Yiren jadan yidan dewe dan yom je bola nebara gyo je semje tamje dewa dan dewe gyo dan dembara gyo je donga dan donga ge gyo dan dewa gyo je donga mebe dewa damba dan me dewa gyo je Yiren jadan yidan dewe dan yom je bola nebara gyo je semje tamje dewa dan dewe gyo dan dembara gyo je donga dan donga ge gyo dan dewa gyo je donga mebe dewa damba dan me dewa gyo je Yiren jadan yidan dewe dan yom je bola nebara gyo je Balden sawe lama rinpo je dage je uro be mende shola garin chebe gone je sonde Kuzon do ge ngon ro za do So today again we are going to continue to understand more about these trainings in aspiration engaged bodhicitta. The main trainings of engaged bodhicitta or action bodhicitta are known as the 6 paramitas or the 6 perfections. We now know why it is called perfections and why it is called paramita in Sanskrit. So in order to fulfill our aim or aspiration, and that is to benefit all sentient beings, and in order to benefit all sentient beings, or in order to free all sentient beings from the suffering of samsara, we need to attain Buddhahood. We need to have this ability or the power in order to benefit all sentient beings. As ordinary being, we wish, we are not able to do so because we have not attained the liberation ourselves from the suffering of samsara. We ourselves are under the control of negative afflictions and emotions, the origin of suffering of samsara. Since we are not free from this cause of the suffering of samsara, then how can we benefit other beings? And that doesn't make any sense. But yes, we can have aspiration, but aspiration alone is not enough. So we need to do something in order to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to benefit all sentient beings, what we need to do is we need to attain Buddhahood. After attainment of Buddhahood, then only we'll be able to free other beings from the suffering of samsara. Then only we'll be able to show them the true path that leads them to the liberation or the final destination, that is the complete and perfect Buddhahood. Until then, it will be only our aspiration. So, since we have given rise to the bodhicitta, we have this ambition or intention to free all sentient beings from the cycle of samsara, and in order to do so, we need to attain realization for ourselves. And after the attainment of enlightenment for ourselves, then only we'll be able to benefit sentient beings. It is something that in order to teach others, something like that, in order to teach others, we need to be educated. We need to know, we need to have some kind of experience, we need to have the realization, then only we'll be able to show the path to others. So therefore, what now we are trying to do is we need to understand what are those trainings, not only aspirations, not only making good wishes to benefit others, but really implementing or applying the tools that will allow us to attain enlightenment and then to benefit others. Our very purpose is benefiting others, and in order to benefit others, we need to have some kind of experience or tools or realization, and that very realization will be able to help others. So here GAMPOPA is talking about the bodhicitta, the importance of bodhicitta, the aspiration bodhicitta and engaged bodhicitta. So we need to give rise to bodhicitta in order to become bodhisattvas, in order to benefit all sentient beings. And we do understand that what is aspiration bodhicitta, and we also learn those different types of trainings in aspiration bodhicitta. Now we are trying to understand the trainings in action or engaged bodhicitta, and in order to attain this kind of realizations, or for that purpose we need to train ourselves in these different trainings, and here those are known as the 6 paramitas. So among 6 paramitas, we are now discussing about the first paramita, the dana paramita, or the giving or the generosity. So to present this topic, generosity, the perfections of generosity, GAMPOPA mentions about 7 different types of points, 7 different subjects to present this, the first chapter of the 6 paramita, that is the perfections of generosity. So we did know that the importance of this training, obviously, and then to present this, to understand more about this generosity, we need to know different points of those that were mentioned by GAMPOPA, reflecting on the faults of not practicing generosity, and reflecting on the virtues or the beneficial effects of by practicing generosity, and definitions of generosity, classifications of generosity, characteristics of each of those classifications of generosity, how to increase generosity, how to perfect generosity act, and finally what will be the result once we attained the perfections of generosity. So these are the 7 different points that GAMPOPA mentions here in order to present this first chapter of 6 paramita, the dana paramita. So among this, we have completed the first reflections on the faults and the virtues of practicing generosity and not practicing generosity, and we also studied the definitions of generosity. Now today we are going to learn more about these different types of classifications of generosity. Okay, so I'll read this. The classification, generosity has 3 classifications. So usually when we hear the word generosity, it comes to our mind that we need to give something, isn't it? The generosity is the giving, the practice of giving. Usually we know about, when we hear generosity, we think about giving money, giving something to others. And here GAMPOPA wants us to know that there's more than that. There's more different types of generosity, not only giving money, but there's another types of generosity as well, which are known as the obviously the first, giving wealth. That's one kind of generosity. Then second one is giving fearlessness, or giving protection, in other words. Then we have this third type of generosity, which is known as giving dharma. So these three are the different classifications of generosity: giving wealth, giving protections or fearlessness, and giving dharma. So these three are also the practice of generosity. So if you don't have money, don't worry, you can still practice generosity. You can still protect someone. You can still show kind of protection, give protection to others who are in the need of protection. And also you can share your dharma, your knowledge, your understanding, whatever understanding in the sense of knowledge that you have. You can always share your good knowledge, your good skills, your good thoughts, your good experience in the different fields of life. You can always for the benefit of others, you can always share these things to others. And most importantly, the dharma, because that is the only path that leads to the perfect, complete enlightenment. Others are temporarily benefits for temporary time, but the perfect, the beneficial effects of the ultimate term, that is the showing the dharma, showing the truth, showing the reality to the others. That is why our historical Buddha, after his attainment of enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, what he did is, after that he preached, he turned the wheel of the Dharma in Varanasi, and that is because of his kindness. He not only satisfied with the realization that he gained under the Bodhi tree in Bodhi Gaya for himself only, but then also since he has given rise to Bodhicitta while he was training. So right after the realization, he was kind enough to share his knowledge, to share this wonderful dharma, this wonderful wisdom that he has attained for the benefit of others. That is why he taught the dharma. And because of that very reason, we are up to until now, in this 21st century, we are very fortunate to be able to hear these wonderful teachings. If Buddha has not shared his dharma, Buddha did not practice the generosity of giving dharma or teaching dharma, then we will be still under ignorance. We'll have never received this kind of opportunity to study dharma. There won't be many uncountable numbers of bodhisattvas, uncountable numbers of arhats, particular Buddhas, if Buddha has not shared his dharma, the knowledge that he has attained under the Bodhi tree. So therefore, there are three different types of generosity. Okay, giving wealth, giving protection or fearlessness, and giving the dharma. These are considered as the three different types of generosity. And giving wealth and giving protection or fearlessness is to benefit beings in the this lifetime. But if you are able to give dharma, that is kind of protections for not only this lifetime, but protection for others for many lifetimes. That's why there's difference too. So if you're able to give dharma, that will be the best thing to do, to protect them from the suffering of samsara. And giving wealth will protect someone's body. Giving fearlessness will protect someone's life, and giving dharma will protect someone's mind. So these are also different purposes why we need to practice three types of generosity. Understood? Giving wealth will protect someone's body. Obviously, if someone is under the suffering of thirst, hunger, or not having shelter, this will help them. Giving wealth will help their body. And then those who need a kind of protection from fearful situations, then if you are able to provide them some kind of protection, that will help them with their life. If there's something danger occurring in their life, So you'll be able to protect them from this kind of different types of disease, different types of dangers of wild animals, different types of dangers of these natural disasters, and so on and so forth. So if you are able to protect them, give them fearlessness, that is to save their life, so protect their life. And finally, giving Dharma will protect their mind. Their mind are under the illusion of not knowing the true nature of phenomena. Their mind are under the worrisome, anxiety, fear, all these types of uncertainties. That is why people suffer. Disappointments, regrets, all these different types of unharmonious mental states. So if you are able to free them from this type of disturbing emotions, disturbing minds with different negative afflictions and emotions, then you'll be able to give them some kind of peace, harmonious, pleasurable kind of state. So that is how you can benefit others' mind, by giving them teaching, by letting them know that this kind of different types of negative afflictions and emotions are temporarily. They are the subject of change. They are the nature of impermanence, and they are not the real entity of yours. They are just temporarily appearances. And if you are able to look these different types of disturbing emotions from the different angle of wisdom, you'll be able to liberate from these different disturbing emotions naturally. So these are the beneficial effects by giving Dharma. This will be able to protect their mind from the worry, anxiety, stress, depression, all this, unpleasant, unfavorable conditions of your mind, mental state. You'll be able to free them by giving them teachings, by sharing them, by your knowledge of wisdom. So that is why it is very important to practice the generosity to benefit others. Okay, so we'll study more the 3 different types of generosity. And the next one is the characteristic of each of those classifications. So in detail, the first one, the giving wealth. The giving wealth have the 2 topics to describe the practice of giving wealth. Giving wealth, improper giving wealth, and impure giving wealth, and pure giving wealth. So even though it is giving wealth, even though it is good practice of generosity, but you need to understand, you need to differentiate, discriminate which things you can give and which things you shouldn't give, should give and should not give. So GAMPOPA will enlighten us more about differentiating of those different types of practice of giving wealth. So the first one, giving impure, should be avoided. And the second one, giving pure things, should be practiced. So that's obviously right. Since we want to benefit others, so obviously we need to give something that is useful, that is pure, that is not stolen from others' belongings. So you should be, even though it is good motivation to benefit others by giving wealth, but the process of giving wealth should be also clean, or should be also pure giving. That is why GAMPOPA encourage us to practice the first one, not to practice the first one, that is impure giving, and practice the second one, that is pure giving. So what are pure giving and what are impure giving? The first one, impure giving. Furthermore, there are 4 subtopics under impure givings. So what are impure givings? So very specific here. It's very helpful actually. Impure motivation, that's one. Obviously, if you want to give, if you want to help others, you should help with a good motivation, pure motivation. So if there's an impure motivation involved, that is even, that looks like dharma, but it's really not dharma. That act may seems like virtuous, but then intention is impure, so that's why it is not virtuous. So therefore, impure motivation, that is something that need to be avoided. Then we need, the second one is impure materials. Okay, first one is with regard to our mental state, right? The second one is the substance itself. The material that we are giving to others should be also pure. So if the material is impure, you should avoid giving, because that material will, instead of helping them, it will harm them, isn't it? Then the third one is impure recipient. So even though if you want to practice the giving of the wealth, giving itself is good, with good motivation obviously, and with good motivation, and the material is also pure, but then if you think that the receiver who is receiving this gift is impure, then you should avoid giving. That's what is instructed here. So we'll know more about those things later. And then fourth is the impure method. Okay, you have good motivation of giving wealth. Second is the material itself is pure. Third is the receiving, the one who is receiving is also pure. And then finally, if your attitude is wrong, if the way that you present giving your wealth to others is wrong, the method is wrong, then that is not good. That should be avoided. So impure method. The first one, impure motivation. What does that mean? There are wrong motivations and inferior motivations. There are two types of motivation that will come within the impure motivation. So first, generosity with the wrong motivation is giving in order to harm others. So obviously, if there's a ill will concern, if there's a ill will is involved, even though the act may look like dharma or virtuous, because you're giving wealth to others, and the people who witness this may also think that, oh, he or she is practicing generosity, the first paramita, wonderful. But then the one who is really practicing this generosity, if his or her motivation is impure, then that act is non-virtuous, because that act has the involvement of harming others. Even the act look like the pure helping, but then intention is to harm others. So when the impure motivation is involved, then obviously you'll use impure materials, that is not beneficial at all. So you should avoid those things. And the second is the inferior motivation, that is to giving with a desire for fame in this life. Giving to benefit others, which is good, but then if there's the self-centered attitude or self-benefiting attitude, or becoming famous and popular, then that is not bodhisattva way of practicing generosity. Nowadays, most of us, practice this kind of generosity, inferior motivation generosity. We give them, we say, help others by giving wealth, but then again, we like the praise. And so people will, praise you, and then you feel very happy about it, and you kind of feel, little bit of pride is involved there, and you become slowly, if many people, praise you and say some wonderful thing about you, then you feel so happy, and that makes you, a little bit of arrogance later on. Then you think that, oh, you are the one who is the great benefactor. And then when you hear about someone else is doing something good, then you feel, oh, little bit of insulted. Even hearing the praise of others, you have no prevalence. You can't bear the praise for others. So this kind of attitude will arise, will take place. So therefore, it is always very good not to have the kind of self-reward while you practice the perfections of generosity. The way of Bodhisattva to practice generosity is without expectation, pure giving, without any kind of self-center or self-gain or name and fame whatsoever. So that is why the second type of impure motivation is giving with desire of fame and name. Then third type of giving with impure motivation is giving in competition with others. So you want to be the best benefactor. You want to be the best practitioner of generosity. That is why you want to compete with others, and that becomes like not generosity but business. Competitions involved. So these all three, wrong motivation, that is to harm others, inferior motivation, that is to bring benefits to yourself, practicing generosity for the benefit of yourself, earning name and fame attitude. And then finally, the third one is kind of giving with the competition. These three are considered as the impure or wrong motivation. So we need to avoid all these three. So bodhisattvas who is practicing this paramita, the dhyana paramita, should avoid all these three. So there's a saying by Bodhisattva Bhumi, bodhisattvas should avoid giving in order to kill, that is ill will, harming others, that is considered as a wrong motivation. Punish others, imprison others, or banish others. So if someone is practicing generosity with the intention or motivations to imprison or banish others or kill others or punish others, then that is something that we need to avoid. And bodhisattva should not exercise generosity for the fame and name or praise. And bodhisattva should not exercise generosity to complete or compete with others, competition with others. You do your part as much as you can, and when you hear someone is doing much better than you, simply appreciate them. Simply say, oh, wonderful, he is more capable than me. Or you wish, may I become like him in the future. And at the very moment you appreciate them. And that is the good thing, that is the right thing to do, instead of raising jealousy, becoming jealousy, or giving rise to anger, not being able to forbear the praise for others. So these are something that should be avoided. Instead, what we need to do is we need to appreciate. Appreciations of others' good deed is a very wonderful thing to do. If you hear someone's practicing generosity, if you see someone's practicing generosity, if you heard or hear someone's practicing generosity, simply appreciate them, simply make wish that you may also be able to do so in the future for the benefit of all sentient beings. If you are able to do this, that is the right way, right motivation, right way of practicing generosity. Simply, even though if you could not, if you are able to appreciate someone who is practicing generosity and appreciate deeply with true heart, then you are also accumulating good merits simply by appreciating others' good deeds. And that is the easiest way to accumulate merits, in fact. And that's the right thing to do. That is what is instructed here, advised here, encouraged here. So we need to avoid wrong view, wrong motivation, that's the first one, and impure motivation, that is to kind of expecting return, expecting result for benefit of yourself, and then practicing the generosity in computation. So all these three we should be avoiding all this kind of wrong, inferior and computation type of motivation while you practice the first paramita. So impure motivation is the generosity motivated by a fear of poverty in next life, or a desire to have a good body and wealth of gods or human beings. Both should be avoided by bodhisattvas. So both wrong motivation and impure motivation should be avoided by bodhisattvas. The second one, impure materials, that one should not involved in giving impure materials, impure goods, impure wealth. Other impure generosity practices to be avoided are explained in the Bodhisattva Bhumis. And what are those? They are to avoid impure material substances. A Bodhisattva should not give. So what are those substances, impure materials? Bodhisattva should not give poison, fire, weapon, and so forth, even if someone begs for them in order to harm oneself or others. So when you practice generosity, obviously you practice because you want to benefit others. But sometimes, even though there are some people who are requesting you, to give them something, if they are requesting, that's reasonable. But if someone's asking you for poison or weapons or drugs or all those things that are causing harm to their body, or they are asking these things in order to harm their enemies, then you as a bodhisattva should not give, even though giving is encouraged. But you should you should have wisdom at the same time. Some people may think, oh, I must practice first paramita, I should give whatever other people ask me. Some people think that way, which in fact, if the other people are asking for good things, which asking something that is not harmful for their body and harmful for others, then obviously you should not hesitate of giving. But if there are some who are asking for you for impure materials in order to harm them or harm others, then you as a bodhisattva use your wisdom. Don't only be emotional. You can be emotional, but not only emotion. You can also have wisdom at the same time. Then you understand why they are asking, for what purpose, will this material benefit them or harm them. All this kind of wisdom should also be involved in the practice of generosity. The Precious Jewel Garden says, but there's different special occasions as well. If that which helps is poison, then poison should be given. If the material is impure, poison, but then poison helps others, then you should not hesitate of giving. So you should be very careful here. Okay, so that's what the Precious Jewel Garden says. If that which helps is poison, then poison should be given. But if even a delicious food will not help others, then it should not be given. So you should use your intelligence here, use your wisdom here. Discriminating knowledge is very, very important, very useful. So you will not make mistakes here. As when one is bitten by a snake, cutting a finger can be of benefit. Buddha said that even if it makes one uncomfortable, helpful things should be done. Okay. So sometimes this is, as I mentioned earlier, special cases. Sometimes if the poison is helpful for others, then you should give, even though this poison material is impure, but there is a purpose of benefiting others. Likewise, if the material is pure, but then it is not benefiting others, it is harming others, then you should not give, even the material is pure. So you should use your discriminating knowledge here in the practice of giving wealth. You should not give traps or the skill for hunting wild animals and so forth to those who ask. Briefly, anything which can harm or cause suffering, you should not give. You should not give your parents, nor pawn your parents, your children, your wife, and so forth. Okay, should not be given. You should not give a small quantity while you have a great wealth. So, if you have a great wealth, and then you should give more. That is what is encouraged here, because you are able to. You have the capacity to do so. So you'll be better benefactor than compared with others. So you should not hesitate. If you have enough, you should give more. If you have not enough, you should give less. And if you have not anything, then you should simply pray and make good aspiration, or simply rejoice in someone's good deed, someone's practice of generosity. So many things that you can do here. And if you have nothing, then you can practice the other two types of generosity. If you don't have the wealth, you can give protection, you can share your knowledge or dharma. So there's other possibilities also. So you should not discourage yourself in the practice of generosity. Now the next one, third one, is impure recipient, the one who is receiving your generosity, your wealth. To avoid impure recipients, do not give your body or a piece of your body to the demons, because they ask for this with a harmful motivation. So I think that is in ancient time, many different type of local spirits, and they manifest in the form of human and ask different things from you, because they know that you are practicing generosity. So in those cases also, those beings are considered as the impure recipient, because they do not need them. They are just imitating, or trying to maybe testify your generosity, or maybe try to discourage you from practicing generosity. Many different kind of non-conscious thought involved in their mind, maybe, who knows. So those are considered as the impure recipient. You should not give your body to beings who are influenced by the maras. So some people may have influenced by maras or local demons or spirits. That means they are not them. They are someone else. So if they ask for your body because they know that you are practicing generosity, then you should not. So these are very hard to discriminate, very hard to tell. So those may be for someone who has a better practice, will able to see whether they are real human being, or whether they are influenced by maras or demons and so forth. Why? Because they don't have their own intellectual here. They are not them. They are influenced by others, and because they don't need our body, and they don't have freedom of thoughts because they are influenced, by maras. They are not in the conditions of thinking themselves perfectly. And also, bodhisattva should not give food and drink to those who are gluttons, who do not really require food, who don't really require, beverages and so forth. So those are considered as the impure recipients. So for human beings, for like us, maybe most of the time we find pure recipients who are in need of health, who are in need of food, who are in need of clothing, who are in need of medicines, who are in need of shelter. All the different types of people we may encounter in our life. Most of them are pure recipients. But again, if not real demon, but there are some demons nowadays, unlike demon, who really do not need. You can put us on others' behalf. There are lots of different organizations nowadays, NGOs and so many other charities. Obviously 90% of them are very good, pure, with pure motivations. They are giving on your behalf. They are giving on your behalf to different types of different types of people in different types of place. But then there are some who are misusing those, who are taking advantages of your generosity, and those can also, you can consider those as the impure recipients. That will be much easier, isn't it, than to look for the demons or to understand whether they are influenced by maras, demons, local spirits or not. So the next one is impure method. So our method should be also pure. So you should avoid impure methods. Impure methods. To avoid impure methods, you should not give with unhappiness or anger or disturbed mind. So whenever we practice generosity, as I mentioned a few days back, that the joyfulness in practicing Dharma is very important. If you practice Dharma without joyfulness, with pressure from someone else, with kind of unhappiness, with kind of anger, then that is not real Dharma. That is pressure, and that is not healthy. Dharma, the real essence of Dharma, is to free ourselves from the unhappiness, anger, desire, aversion. But if you are going under all this type of hardships, all this type of unhappiness, then it is not pleasure, then it is not Dharma, even though it look like Dharma from the physical point of view, from the physical appearances. But then if you're internally, if your mind is not happy, if you have no interest in the Dharma, if you are not joyful in the practice of the Dharma, then that Dharma, there's no guarantee that kind of practice will lead you to the happiness. So therefore, you should always, have the joyfulness. And how can you develop joyfulness in the practice of the Dharma? Is through understanding the beneficial effects of Dharma practice, understanding the importance of Dharma practice, understanding that this Dharma practice, that this following this truth of path will lead you to the ultimate Buddhahood. This path will be able to free yourself from the suffering of samsara. If you have this knowledge, this understanding, then you will be, more stable. You have more kind of interest and faith and devotion in the Dharma. So once you have faith and devotion in the Dharma, you'll always be joyful. You can you can take yourself as example. when you feel joyfulness in the practice of Dhamma in a year. When your faith and devotions are high, when you are very, interested in the practice of Dhamma, those times when you do prostrations, you never feel tired. There's the happiness involved. So likewise here again, the method of practicing generosity is always to practice generosity with the joyfulness. That's why it says here, impure method, that is, you should not give with unhappiness or anger or disturbed mind. You should not give with disdain or disrespect of an inferior person. You should not give while threatening or scolding beggars. So the method of practicing generosity is to, give the wealth to others with respect, without scolding or without looking down to those individuals, who are in need of help, with respect, with full gesture, with full kind of compassion. That is how you give. So impure method is something that is involved of the scolding and threatening and disrespecting others, because you think them as inferior than you, and you feel yourself as a superior than them. So this kind of distance is not healthy at all in the practice of the Dhamma. So those are considered as the impure givings. Now the next one is pure giving. Then what is pure giving? Okay, there are 3 subtopics under pure giving as well: pure material, pure recipient, and pure method. The first one, pure material, the first one also has 2 subdivisions: inside wealth and outside wealth. So what is inside material? Inside materials are those related with your own body. Your own body, that is now considered as the inside materials. The Narayana Requested Sutra says, you should give your hands to those who desire hands, should give your leg to those who desire legs, you should give your eyes to those who desire eyes, should give your flesh to those who desire flesh, should give your blood to those who desire blood, and so forth. So these are very high practice of generosity. So many of you remember Namo Buddha, the story of Namo Buddha. That is where Buddha, in his past lifetime, while he was training the 6 paramitas, in one of his lifetime, he has attained these perfections of generosity in Namo Buddha by giving his own body to the hungriest tiger. Remember this? So this is kind of generosity that is known as the impure material. In the pure material, outside material and inside material, this is considered as the inside material. That means the thing that you have, your own body. But this we should not apply by ordinary practitioner here. This is kind of practice to advanced level, for those advanced students who are able to do so. For us as ordinary being, we are not yet at that stage of giving your own body to others. So this is there too. So for your information, this is also considered as the great perfections of generosity. Now then, the outside material. Outside materials are ordinary food, drinks, clothes, transportation, and so forth, according to Dharma practice. So we usually practice giving cash, giving money, because this is the system, this is the style, the modern style of giving is convenient, is easy to carry, and when you have cash with you, if you see people are in need of help, you can just right away buy things and give them food or clothing or shelter, or even simply give the cash to them, and they will go to restaurants and eat, and they will go buy whatever they want, isn't it? That's the most modern kind of convenient way of practicing generosity, by giving cash. In the past, during Buddha's time or in ancient India, those In those times, people trade with different goods. I give you rice, then you give me vegetables. This is how they trade. So likewise, in the ancient time, they practice, when they practice generosity, I think they practice by giving food or clothing or all these different materials and substances, not cash at those offices. Silver, brass, gold, and so forth. So outside material are external substances apart from your own body. So those are considered as outside materials. And householder bodhisattvas are permitted to give all the outer and inner wealth, whereas the ordained bodhisattvas should keep their 3 dharma robes. Other than 3 dharma robes, they can practice generosity. So that is what is mentioned here in the Ornament of Mahayana Sutra says. The next is the pure recipient. There are 4 recipients here, pure recipients. Recipients with special qualities like a spiritual master, the 3 gems, triple gems, and so forth, with a higher quality, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So if you want to make practice generosity, you can make offerings to the special quality receivers with the special quality. That's like your gurus, lamas, and teachers, 3 Jews, and so forth. And so these are pure recipients, and so forth. Recipients who are specially helpful to you. The next one is recipients who are specially helpful to you, like your own father, mother, sisters, brothers, your friends, your best friends, your godfather, and so forth. So if you pay back to them, if you look, when they are old, when they are unable to do their own things, then you should not hesitate to give your hand, support them in any way possible. Because when you were unable to do so, they were there. Remember, they were always there for you. Your parents, especially your parents, were there for you. Your best friend were there for you when you really in need of help in your school. All those wonderful people you can think of, those were so kind, those were there when you really need them. So now, when they are unable to do, and when you are able to do, you should not hesitate giving your hand, giving your support in whatever way possible. This is also considered as a generosity here. That is why they are labeled as in the group of pure recipients or recipients, isn't it? Otherwise, KHENPO will not mention them here in this category. So when he has mentioned there, that means they are the object of your generosity. They are the receiver of your generosity. So you should always, benefit them. Then the third type of pure recipients is those who are, are special. Those who are special due to their sufferings, like those who are like patients, unprotected, and so forth. Those who are suffering from different types of disease, or those who are lacking food, clothing, and shelter. Obviously, they are the pure recipient of your generosity. Right away, give them. Right away, help them if you can. Don't think, just act right away when you see those people who are in really need of help, who have lots of pain, who are unprotected. Those are the best recipients here. And finally, recipients who are special because of their harmfulness, like enemies and so forth. So here, Bodhisattva, Bodhisattva, the way of life of practicing first paramita. Usually, as ordinary being, what we do? We will only help those who have helped us, isn't it? Most of the time, yes. We will help our friends when they are suffering. We will help our parents and family members when they are suffering. But we usually don't think much about others which are not related to us, who are not related to us. But Bodhisattva way of life is not like that. There's not partiality. You practice impartially, equally to all, because you see all of them as your own mother. You see all of them as your own sister, brothers, or friend. So there's no demarcation. It's a kind of practice of boundaryless, limitless practice. That is kind of blossoming, or that is kind of covering all beings under your compassion. And especially those who harms you. You should even pay more attention to those, just by thinking them as your only child who is under the pressure of suffering, who is suffering more than other times. So when you encounter, when you really see and experience this kind of difficulties, you should even practice more generosity towards those. And that is why they are placed here as a pure recipient. Your enemies are also pure recipients of your generosity. Isn't that very interesting? So for bodhisattvas, your enemies are also your pure recipients. You should even take more care for your enemies, because they are suffering more, because they are overpowered by negative afflictions, emotions more stronger than that of your friends and families, and then that of those people who are unprotected and all. So therefore, it is hard, I know, but then it is reasonable. It makes sense. If you act as a normal way, then you will not be called bodhisattva. You can still enjoy your life, sleeping, doing all this worldly activity, and that's it. And you don't want to progress more further. Then that's a different story. But we are not. We really want to, attain enlightenment for the benefit of other beings. So we need to train in these different trainings of engaged bodhicitta, and one of them is the first paramita, that is the dana paramita, or perfections of generosity. So these are the 4 pure recipients. Pure method. The pure method of generosity are giving with excellent motivation, and giving with excellent action. These 2, excellent motivation and excellent action. The first is to practicing generosity for the enlightenment and sentient beings' well-being, or the benefit of sentient beings. That's there, right? That's our first priority, to benefit all sentient beings and to attain enlightenment for that purpose, which is motivated by compassion. Regarding the giving with excellent action, the Bodhisattva Bhumi says, Bodhisattvas exercise giving with devotion, respect, by their own hand, in time, and without harming others. So the excellent action is consist of 5 different actions: with devotion, obviously, with respect to, with our own hand, not asking someone to do for you, but with, obviously, number 3, in time. Number 4, when you have wealth, when you see people who are suffering, that's all right timing. And when you have something to give, that's also right timing. Otherwise, when you have wealth and you did not practice generosity, but when you don't have wealth, then you say, if I have then well, we usually have lots of excuses in practicing of generosity. Oh, I wish I had so much money so then I can help so many beings. But when you have really so much money, then you forget those beings. You forget what was your aspirations, and you kind of use your wealth lavishly, partying, drinking alcohol, beers, going to party, and was involvement in drugs and all. So we shouldn't follow this kind of path. Whenever right timing, we should not hesitate. We should always grab right opportunity, right timing. When you have wealth, when you see sentient beings in need of help, just give it. That's it. That's the accumulation of merit, and that's seal, and that is there. That is something that we can experience in the life after death. That is why it is known as the accumulation of merits. Even though you don't wish for expectation, even though you don't wish that you have something in return, but as consequences of that, it will bring benefits. Obviously, there's no doubt at all. That's why karma, cause, and effect are mentioned by GAMPOPA in the earlier chapter. The importance of karma, cause, and effect. And without harming others. Finally, these 5 are considered as the excellent action. Okay, now in detail. With devotion means that a bodhisattva should be happy in all 3 times. Before he gives, he should be happy, thinking that why he is giving. While he is giving, he should not have any kind of stinginess or remorse. After giving, he should rejoice himself that he is able to do so. No remorse or no regret at all. So that's one thing. Respect. With respect means giving respectfully, with gesture, with bowing down, with kind face, with some smile on face, with compassionate eyes, all this kind of respectful means. Not by scolding and shouting and looking those poor beggars as an impure being, and you consider thinking yourself as a superior being. So this difference gap is not advised here. Then by our own hand, that means not asking others to do on your behalf. If you are able to do, if you see those people are in front of you, then you should go ahead and give them with respect with your own hand, whatever things that you can. In time means when you have wealth, that is the time to give. Without harming others means not harming your entourage. Here, obviously, when you practice generosity, giving wealth, you are not harming others, you are helping others. But here, what does this mean by not harming others? Doesn't mean the receiver. Here, harming others means your own family members. Okay, for example, you are the father of your family, the head of your family, and if you practice generosity, which is good, but then if you practice generosity and if you give all your belongings, then if that is harming your family members, obviously you need to have enough for your wife, children, for education, for health. So you should also think of those. If your entourage of your family members are not happy with your practice of generosity, then here GAMPOPA says you should not. So this is very specific instructions here. Not harming others means not harming your entourage, even though it is your own wealth. If the people around you, your family members, come with tears in their eyes when you are giving something away, then do not do it. It's very specific here, very specific, and very practical and to the point, with clear advice here. So you should have kind of willingness of all your family members, and sometimes this is very hard in this modern lifetime, because this, when you practice generosity, if your all family members are not in one same thought, then it's always difficult. But I think you can balance this. Here what GAMPOPA means is that you should not completely give everything to others. Then obviously you are harming your family members. But you can, have a good calculation. What kind of percentage, in a year from your income, what kind of percentage you can have for your family, your children, your education, their health, and how much a percentage from your income you can do for charity. I think that is more balancing here. If you are able to do so, then you're in middle way. You're not harming your family members, and yet you're not being departed or distanced from practicing the Paramita, Dana Paramita. So I think that is more advisable, more good thing to do, more logical thing to do. Do not give wealth that has been robbed or stolen or cheated, that which belongs to others. So if you give something that you have stolen from others, so that's not pure giving. That's actually stealing. That's a kind of non-virtuous act than the virtuous act. Give repeatedly means a quality of benefactor who gives again and again. Excuse me. Give without bias means quality of the recipients. The benefactors gives to everyone without partiality. Fulfill all desires means a quality of the gift. The benefactor should give whatever the recipients desires, but with discriminating knowledge. If the recipients ask for something that is harmful for their health, their body, or the recipient is asking this for ill will, with the bad motivation, with motivation of harming someone else, the third person, then you should not give. So these are the instructions on practicing the first paramita. Okay, so we'll leave here for today, and we'll continue. More instructions on the practice of generosity. So we'll continue this in the next session. So stop here for today and thank you very much for participating, and we shall dedicate this good merit